Hello YouTube treasure hunters, it's me, Ayla Moore, back with another Settlers 2 10th Anniversary Edition video, and today we are going to focus on the Woodcutter. However, there was something that we forgot about the Forester, so we will look at that. That's why I've created this system with a Forester, a Woodcutter and a storehouse. We didn't look at how far the Forester is willing to go to grow his trees, so we're going to look at that, and then we're going to see how far the Woodcutter will go, and then we'll see how quickly woodcutters can produce logs, especially given how fast foresters can produce trees. So let's get into it. Alright, so you can see that all the spots have been planted on. Forester's not planting anymore. It's actually 6 spots from the forester's house to the edge, to each of these corners. Everything works on a hexagon, so if we go down diagonally to the left here, it's 6 paths, 6 spots, 6 units in any direction. And so you see, even if you go diagonally, it's still 6 to get to this straight line along the bottom. So 6 steps. It's the same at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then go along. Also around the buildings, the forest isn't planting trees, so that's interesting to note. It won't plant on roads and it won't plant around buildings, and that's so that you can still do roads, I imagine. We've created this road here. I kind of reserved that space so that we could then build a woodcutter to see how far a woodcutter will go. And if it's the same, if it's 6 by 6, centered on the house, remember, not centered on the flag, centered on the house, then we would expect a kind of fringe over to the right there, but everything else to be chopped down. Alright, our woodcutter has finished cutting, and as you can see, it's exactly as we expected. Over to the left here, everything's been cut down, and then this fringe of trees, which is exactly 6 spots away from the house, not from the flag. So everything within 6 spots or 6 journeys has been cut down, and that's in every direction. So because he was on the same level as the forester, everything to the top and the bottom has been cut down. But then as soon as you go 1 spot over on the 7th journey, he's not going that far. So what does a woodcutter do? Well, he leaves his house and he goes on a journey. And he goes on a journey to find a tree. He won't go to a tree that's not fully grown. We tested that last time. So he does have to wait for trees to fully grow. Once he's found a tree, he'll go straight there and he'll go and chop it down. So he leaves, does a journey, he starts work, and it takes him a little while to finish work, drop the tree down, pick up the log. He then journeys straight back. He doesn't wander around as much as the forester does, so his journeys tend to be a little bit shorter. He does have to go back to his own flag. He doesn't just drop the log off at the nearest flag, so his to and from journeys are very similar. He drops the log off, that's now available, and he enters his house. As you can see, the carrier immediately comes and gets the log. He then rests until he is ready to go again, and that's his full work day. So again, I've done a bunch of observations on these guys. It's time to look at the math. Okay, so here's the math, my favourite part. I did 8 observations again on the woodcutter. Recorded when he exited his house, when he started work, when he got to the tree, when he actually managed to get the tree down, when he dropped the log off back at his flag, when he re-entered his house, and then after that how long he rested until he came out of his house again. So all of that gives us these statistics. So it takes an average of 9 seconds for him to journey to work. He spends an average of 5 seconds actually cutting the tree down, and an average of 7 seconds journeying home. So he does wander around a little bit on the way to the trees. He has a journey home time, so from dropping the tree off to getting into his house, of 3 seconds, and then he rests for about 28 seconds normally. So from when he leaves his house to when the log is actually available to take, takes about 21 seconds, and his full work day, his full loop, is 52 seconds. If you remember, the forester was actually 55 seconds. For his full work day. So the woodcutter goes a little bit quicker. The trees, and maybe unsurprisingly, he's doing a log about once every 52 seconds. So his range 6 journeys from the flag, from the house, not the flag, and he can cut any tree. So if we look at logs over time, by the time he gets to, it takes him about 21 minutes to cut down 25 logs, or it takes him about 25 minutes to chop 29 logs. So over 25 minutes he'll have chopped 29 logs. And all of this is important because the forester and the woodcutter have to work together. So if we look at their difference, the blue line is how many logs become available, the green line is how many trees. You see that the woodcutter is slightly more efficient than the forester. So by minute 5, down here, the forester has fully grown 4 trees, but the woodcutter has chopped down and delivered 6 trees, assuming that there's space and there are trees available. So actually the woodcutter would be limited by the forester here. It would only be able to cut down 4 trees if we were totally reliant on the forester. But actually it's very, very close. By the 1 hour mark it's 69 to 64, by the 2 hour mark it's 138 to 129 logs versus trees, so actually it's very, very close. If we wanted to dig right into this, we could say that if we had, for example, 14 foresters and 13 woodcutters, then there'd just be a difference of 1 tree in it over time. So over an hour, I should say, between growing trees and cutting trees down. So you have one extra tree, basically, that the woodcutters wouldn't have gotten to if everything was perfect, if everything was theoretically perfect. So what I decided to do was make this configuration. So the amount of logs that a woodcutter can cut down is very similar to the amount of trees that a forester can grow. And if I create 6 woodcutters and 6 foresters, we should see them getting about 1 tree each per minute. So we should be getting 6 logs into our storehouse, which is this one in the centre, per minute. What I've done is I've put the foresters near the centre so that woodcutters can get to any tree that these woodcutters can plant, so there shouldn't be any waste there. And I ran this for 10 minutes to see how many logs we would get, and we should expect to get around 60 logs over 10 minutes. That's 1 log per minute for each of our woodcutters. How did it go? Well, here's the results. After 10 minutes we'd stored 55 logs, which is an average production of 5.5 logs per minute, and that gives us actually a production per woodcutter of 0.92 logs per minute, because remember we had 6, so 5.5 divided by 6, 0.92, and so that's how many we would have had over 10 minutes. Each woodcutter had chopped down and made accessible 9.17 logs, so about 0.92. Our theoretical optimal pace for woodcutters, if they just had limitless trees, is 1.15 logs per minute. If we limit that to each woodcutter having 1 forester, the theoretical optimal pace is at 1.1 or 1.09 logs per minute, because the forester is slightly slower, so we're limited to that forester's pace. However, the actual pace that we've observed in practice is lower because there's some loss, and probably people have to travel a bit further than they'd like sometimes, and also what we noticed, a little bit of wastage where possibly 2 foresters plant trees in inaccessible locations for a woodcutter, means that the actual pace is 0.92 logs per minute. It's still very, very close to 1 log per minute, and so I think for practical purposes we could say your woodcutter, your forester, they can give you 1 log per minute over the long run. So that's our woodcutter and forester. Next step in looking at these this system, this tree system, is the sawmill. I'm looking forward to looking at how quickly we can produce planks for the rest of our builds. Hope you've enjoyed this. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video.